In April 2016, Leo Chadburn posted a picture on Facebook of a score he'd been working on and invited everyone to make use of it. He actually said, "Fill in whatever notes you think I would have written," but instead I have used it as the basis of a piece of my own. This video is an attempt to document my work in progress on this piece after a few weeks. Here is the score. You will see it consists of a number of words arranged in a grid. In fact, each word is the name of a colour, arranged in columns of similar colours, red, yellow, green, etc. There are 5 colours in each of 5 colour groups. So, how to proceed? Clearly, to convert this piece of visual art into sound, some musical decisions have to be made. Now, I happen to make my music using a laptop equipped with Ableton Live, so my first decision was to create a live set from this score, and here it is. The next musical decision is what samples should go in each of these clips. I chose to use the words themselves, spoken and spoken by me. I recorded 3 of each word, planning to choose just one, but then found with just a single word everything moved along too fast, so I kept every clip as 3 words long. Actually, one clip only has 2 words, but that's a little error I have not corrected. Every clip can be started and stopped at will in Ableton Live. My normal setup includes 2 iPads for controlling the sets, like here. But for the purposes of this video, I'll use the trackpad so you can follow the pointer. So for example, if I start this clip.
Azure, Azure, Azure.
The next musical decision is what happens when the clip is played. Does it just stop, or does it trigger another one? I decided that the clips would play in the sequence of similar colours, i.e. each column, and then start again at the top.
Azure, Azure, Azure. Cerulean, Cerulean, Mazarine, Mazarine, Mazarine. Smaragdine, Smaragdine, Smaragdine. Ultramarine, Ultramarine, Ultramarine. Azure, Azure, Azure. Cerulean, Cerulean.
Another sequence can be started and stopped at any time.
Turquoise, Mazarine, Smaragdine, Smaragdine, Smaragdine. Ultramarine, Horatius, Ultramarine, Horatius, Ultramarine. Cesius.
And also the volume can be controlled.
Cesius, as Viridian, Viridian. Olivaceous, Olivaceous, Olivaceous.
So now we have what I term the nugget of the piece. A necessary and sufficient set of musical decisions have been made, allowing a fully defined performance to be realised. The performer will simply click wherever they choose to start and stop clips and change volume. Clicking at the top right, all clips will be played.
Azure, Process, Azure, Azure, Horatius, Cerulean, Flavescent, Flavescent, Mazarine, Mazarine,
And again, the volume can be changed. This is obviously easier using the iPad controllers, because I can change more than one volume at the same time, bringing them up, taking them down, and so on. Stopping whole rows, or the whole thing. So that's the nugget. In order to make any further progress, at least one more musical decision must be made. And that's the subject of the next video. For example, I could decide to write a score to control clip start, stop, and volume. Further musical decisions along that path would be to do with the composition of the score. I could use chance methodology, such as the I Ching, for example. I might even end up writing a completely silent piece in 3 movements that was 4 minutes 33 seconds long. However, my musical decision was rather different and involves processing the sounds in the clips rather than their sequence. I first heard Alvin Lucier's I'm Sitting in a Room in the year 2000, and ever since I've been fascinated by the process of creating musical sounds from the spectral components of the spoken word. I began by imitating Lucier's method using the resonant frequencies of performance spaces, but in 2008 I found a plugin that did exactly what I wanted. The Spectral Gate and Hold is one of the plugins produced by Michael Norris as part of his Sound Magic Spectral plugin collection. So taking the nugget I created from Leo Chadburn's initial score, I simply added this plugin to the column of spoken word samples. So if I start the words,
Viridian,
you see them coming in, going out
olivaceous,
unchanged, because this is turned off. When I turn
olivaceous,
it on,
turquoise.
now this plugin sets the threshold above which the strongest spectral components get through, whilst the weaker ones are gated out. This threshold can be moved up and down. Actually, this is moving it down so that more components get through, or the other way, so that fewer. Spectral components are held for a time and then decay as the next ones come through. So I can change the decay factor as well, so they decay much quicker. Or slower. I can always also vary the length of time each one is held and the variance on that, so they're held for random lengths of time within this variance. There are a number of other settings that I don't use, shown here. In fact, this is a later version of the plugin, Mine was built from the earlier version, so I simply don't use the extra one that's added. But there is one master setting for the plugin, and that's the size of the FFT spectral bin. Over the years, I've settled on 8192 samples as a good setting for my work, but the range is from 512 samples to 65,536. Since the nugget has 5 columns, I've chosen 5 settings: 512, 2048, 8192, 16384 and 65536. I put these in each of the columns as shown. 1, 2, so on. So you see this is the 512 version. If you look at the setting, you see it says 512. Okay, let's turn all of those on. The effect of different spectral bin sizes is quite dramatic. A bin size only 512 samples fills up quickly and empties quicker, so everything moves much faster. Again, I can put more samples in, hold it for longer, and decay different lengths of time. But as you hear, quite different from some of the other components. So, next section. One we heard earlier. More samples again. And the most extreme. Notice how long this takes to build up, and when I stop the samples, how long to fade away. Now, in addition to controlling the parameters of the sister plugin, I've added a filter that allows the sections of the spectrum to be chosen as input. In this way, the spectral components that may not be the strongest are can still be emphasized. More of the samples, but just the high frequency ones. Maybe delay them a bit longer. The filter includes high pass, low pass and band pass, and also band stop, which is useful to clear the mid-range frequencies for other sounds to be heard. Or just the low frequencies. Finally, I've added a high-pass filter to filter out the lowest possible frequencies, which occasionally will overwhelm all the other ones. So now we have Colourwash, a complete performance and composition tool. I control it using my two iPads with touchable control surfaces. One controls the launch and volume of the clips, and the other the various plugin parameters. But touchable is very flexible, and this can be changed on the fly. So here's a little demo. So, where to go from here? Leo Chadburn's initial score says, this one's for voice, brass and synths, or something. Now as it happens, Ableton Live offers the capability to create MIDI clips from audio clips, and thus allows the creation of instrumental sounds directly from the sampled audio, in this case the spoken word. So my Colourwash setup has now been extended to include mini tracks as shown. Ableton has 3 different audio to MIDI conversions: melody, harmony and percussion. As to choice of instrument, my reading of the words seems best suited to the tuba as melody. Following Leon's suggestion, I've then chosen a brass ensemble as harmony. As I like woodblocks, I've included a woodblock track. spoken word makes up the voice element in Leo's suggested ensemble.
Cardinal. Cardinal.
Here's what it all sounds like with a Colourwash background. Now this is very much a work in progress. My vision would be for a live performance. I have an old copy of Sibelius I which allowed me to create a musical score from the MIDI tracks. I would need to do some heavy MIDI and score editing, I think, to make something usable. Just imagine though, if Juliet Fraser were to interpret the words in her inimitable style, with John White on tuba, Leo Chadburn playing the brass parts on his synthesizer, and Serge Vieux playing woodblocks. What a world premiere that would be!